Morning. How are you? There's a lot of huge changes happening in Uganda. Oil, huge amounts of oil. There's massive hydroelectric projects underway. If you look up at even in Murchison Park, you'll see all the way from Karuma stretching in. There's 4 or 5 dams either under consideration or under construction. The Russians are talking about building, helping Uganda build nuclear power facilities. The standard gauge railway is coming, which I think is going to change the economy of East Africa. The same with these new highways. And the cross-border trade between the countries in East Africa is drastically increasing as the border posts are made easier, as the barriers are removed. There's also massive population growth. Uganda has one of the highest populations growth in the world. The estimates say that by 2050 we're going to go from 36.5 to over 102 million people. We're going to push the Kenyans out of the way, and I think trying to compete with the Tanzanians. I'm using the word we because I've been here for a fair while, so I'll be indulgent. That growth isn't even across the entire country. There's specific areas where it's higher, specific areas where there's loss. And so you probably wouldn't be too surprised that in Karamoja and Kabong there, that's got a negative growth rate. I was a little surprised to find that Moyo, just in the north there, also has a negative growth rate. Especially given the number of refugees that are coming over across from South Sudan. And then Nwoya, this one here just south of Moyo, has one of the highest growth rates in the country. So population is booming. So the population is booming, but it's also getting more extreme in urban areas. Now there's a population of about a little over 6.5 million. In urban areas, according to UBOS. And by 2040, that's going to increase by 30 million, or increase to 30 million. A little while back, we mapped out all the buildings in Kampala from satellite imagery. Would anybody be able to guess as to how many buildings there are in Kampala? None of it. I'll tell you who can't answer. Lydia can't answer. Florence, you can't answer. Judith, you can't answer. Because they're working with us over in GeoGate. Anybody else like to guess? How many buildings? 600,000. Anybody else?
No answer. 5 million.
5 million. Okay. It's quite a disparity there. One last one. It's saying a number. It doesn't require much. Where you're not going to be fined if you don't get it exactly. Well, 3 million. So we use 50 centimeter satellite imagery to delineate each individual building in the city, and we calculated that it was 399,388. So you were very close. You win a free weekend. So we mapped out all those buildings, and we created a grid, a 100-meter grid cell over the entire city. And we got some data from the Ministry of Lands, actually. You delineated the buildings back in 1993 using aerial imagery. And so we calculated the entire square meters of roof space per individual grid cell for 2016, and the same for 1993, and we subtracted 1993 from 2016. And so what you see here is Kampala and all those grid cells, and the redder the area, that means that there's more square meters of roof space. The blue does not mean that there is no change. The blue means that there's actually less square meters of roof space. Which is a bit of a funny one actually. I think you can see around the outskirts, all around outside of the CBD and the centre, there's growth, there's more roof, there's more buildings. That's the way cities grow, especially one that's fast growing as Kampala. But in the centre, we're calculating there's less square meters of roof space. We think that might be because they're removing some of the smaller buildings, some of the slums, the informal buildings within the city centre, and building taller. 60%. Well, Dr. Richard actually, I think he said just before that it's up to 70% now actually, but a huge proportion of the population within urban areas in Uganda live in slums. 60 to 70%. That's a huge number of people that don't have formal housing, that don't have land title, that don't have access to quality services, or even an address system. I know KCCA are working on that, and they're trying to push that into the slums as well, that address system, but it's notoriously difficult. We also looked at Namongo slum. So comparing 1993 to 2016, and you can see here the top green buildings are what's there in 1993. What you have here is 2016. You don't really need a legend there. You just need the labels. You understand that right away about the extensive change. In 1993, there were 451 buildings. Now there's 2,554. So the slums are growing at a much more exponential rate as well. I know some of the other students that produced those excellent posters out there yesterday were looking at this as well, about the vegetation loss. There's a lot of vegetation loss. We look back to 1974 using Landsat imagery and calculated the loss over time. I know it was around 2000 that the amount of vegetation began to plummet and the amount of urban structures began to drastically increase. Might be a little hard to see. You can see the orange here pretty well, but we also compared the pervious and impervious surfaces in the city. At the moment, KCCA is looking at the Kampala Drainage Master Plan for the entire city. And these are the impervious areas that were pervious, could absorb water in 1995, but cannot in 2016 because they've been developed. There's huge amounts of areas that are, and that's a lot of this is around the outskirts, and that will have an impact on drainage, especially as it approaches into wetlands. As part of the Vision 2040, the government is developing new cities, different types of cities, regional cities and strategic cities. So this is an effort to offset the burden on Kampala as the administrative centre of the country. All the way up in Arua, it's going to be a regional city, Gulu and Bale down in Ambarara, but then there's other strategic cities as well that they're going to look at for supporting industry, for oil, for mining, industry in Jinja. So there's big efforts to rectify the current situation. You drive about Kampala now, even for you, Dr. Peter, I imagine, coming our Professor Baum, that if you drive down Entebbe Road from the airport, that's a busy road. Traffic in Kampala is intense. KCCA estimated, I think, that 24,000 man-hours per day are lost by people being stuck in traffic. The pollution rates for Uganda are also very high. If you like exercising, you can only exercise for 90 minutes for it to be beneficial. After 90 minutes, the pollution will have a negative impact on you. It will outweigh the negative impact of the pollution, will outweigh the positive benefits of your exercise. And lots of people in Kampala, almost 40% in 2013 didn't have access to electricity. So how do you, with this massive growth, with these new cities being developed, with this huge population boom, what do you do? How do you tackle that? And I think geomatics, GIS, remote sensing, they all play, in this case, they've got a very specific advantage and a very specific role. This is some recent UAV data just north of the bypass near Kampala Parents there. So we have the data is available. The satellites aren't going anywhere. There are more of them are going in. UAVs, drones, I think, will probably become more accepted tools. UNRWA is bringing them into the country. Dr. Jane, who was here yesterday, she's bringing them into the country as well. We're flying them now at the moment as well. So the data does exist, but data isn't enough. What you can see here is we've just delineated all the cars, all the vehicles in this scene, and that's what we're planning on doing very soon. Is doing a vehicle census of the entire city, of the urban areas. We got stopped on the way on my way to the conference this morning. We got stopped by a lady in a high-vis jacket who pulled us over just before Malaga roundabout. And she had a notepad and she said, "Yeah, I'm doing a traffic census. Where are you going? What are you doing?" That type of thing. That's the way it's currently being done now. That's hard. That's tough. That's a sample. If you use satellite imagery or a UAV imagery and you do a full vehicle census, you've got very accurate, very specific data, very specific information. But information is just information until you create intelligence from it. What do you do with that information? Lots of that also exists, but how do you actually ask practical? How do you ask questions that will influence the development of the city? I was speaking to somebody yesterday about we have access to Buddha data, Buddha tracking data. There's about 1,500 our partners, 1,500 Buddhas GPS tracked. And their location is being recorded every 30 seconds for the past few years or so. That's data. It's a humongous amount of data, and it's quite hard to process. And there's great value in big data, but only if you can pull out the information from it that will influence your decisions. Does anybody know why this house is special? I'm just leaving an uncomfortable silence there for a moment. This house, of the 399,388 buildings in the city, this one house here, it's got a grass roof beside it, but the main house is just over here. This is the building that has the poorest access in the city to mobile money agents. So we have data on about 11,000 mobile money agents around the city. We've got the data on all those almost 400,000 buildings in the city too. And this one building here has the poorest access. Access to finance is also a critical issue for Uganda's development. But we don't only have it for the one building, we have it for all the buildings in the city. So here you can just see each house in the city coloured according to the distance it is from a mobile money agent. You've got stretching from Nakasero here up to Ntinda. You've got that's probably somewhat of a wealthier area in the city. You would have poorer access there. There's also other areas, more slum-like areas that have less access. If you're MTN and you want to put in place some new mobile money agents, these would probably be the places that you would do it. If you're Umeni and you want to put in place new infrastructure and national water, where do you put that in order to optimize your value for money for the access that will for the number of people that will access it? Energy is a key one too. The World Bank estimated that in 2013 about 40% of people in urban environments had access to energy. Electricity is expensive as well. Every second day you have somebody in the paper complaining about the rates. Uganda is not especially cheap when it comes to that. So a lot of people use kerosene or candles or other methods to light their homes or to power their fridges in their small business. But there is also another option, which is solar. We're looking also at the potential for solar generation within urban environments using roof-mounted solar panels. There's a lot of criteria that you would include in a calculation like this. Atmospheric effects, the latitude, cloud, the building height, shadows, seasonality. But we did that for central division. We quantified the amount of solar energy that you could generate if you put solar panels on top of these roofs in central division. And we're going to be doing that for Mbarara and Kudu as well in order to support the promotion of solar products. This is information, this is data that is available within satellites and within the other data sets that can be used to improve electricity access for these populations. I'm talking a little bit about traffic here as well. And there's another interesting company here that's using mobile phone data. So what they do is to help improve traffic and monitor traffic. What they do is they identify the location of every single phone in the city at 11 o'clock in the morning. And then they identify the location of that same phone at 11 o'clock at night. So they know where your workplace is and they know where your home is. I don't think you need to be too afraid, but I'm not doing it, so don't throw anything at me or I don't think it is a privacy issue because it's all anonymized. It's at city level. So instead of if you want to pay me to track if your boyfriend is going to his ex-girlfriend's house, I'll take your money, but I probably won't do anything. But with this, you can for a population, Uganda's got a nighttime population of 1.5 million, but it bumps up very significantly. I think it's around 2.5 for the daytime population. Public transport is tough as well. With the taxis, you try and rent a taxi park. It's quite a mess there. They're trying to put in place the bus system, but I think it's not really there yet. With this, if you have the origin and destination of everybody that's coming into your city at night, you can use GIS to manipulate this big data to understand where you would put in place your public transport infrastructure. And that data, that mobile, that's telecoms data. That's just sitting there. You don't really know. They're using it a bit for their own purposes, but I don't think they really know the true value of it. Because it's such a huge data set. And in my opinion, there's probably no better data set in the continent of Africa than telecoms data. You've got location, you've got financial history, you've got networks, and it's consistent, clean, over time. We're talking about slums as well. 60 to 70% of the population living in slums. That's a huge number. And if the population is going to increase fivefold from 6 million to 30 million in urban areas by 2040, those slums are just going to keep on increasing in size. They're going to be becoming a lot denser. It's going to be stretching out further. The service providers are going to be struggling even more to deliver infrastructure to them to prevent these informal areas from flooding, to enable them to, if a fire does break out, that fire services can access the vulnerable areas before it becomes too damaging. So we looked at slums. So here we counted the number of buildings for that same 100-meter grid for the entire city. And then you can see that wealthy area just in the middle. You can see that there, also over here in Bugalobi. So yeah, sorry, the colour of each cell is darker according to if there's more buildings there, lighter if there's less. So then we pulled out all the grid cells with more than 50 or more than 46 buildings per grid cell. 46 buildings within a 100-meter by 100-meter cell. You know that's just going to be dense. It's not the only indicator of what a slum is, but I would think it would be quite an influential one factor in it. Slums would also be identified, I think, according to the informal nature of the landowner, of the land ownership, the temporary nature of the building, the inadequate services that are provided. So these are all the areas that are incredibly dense, small buildings. And then we overlaid that with what I believe KCCA is using for their what they classify as slums. So you'll see there's plenty there to notice. There's a lot of orange, which is the very dense cells outside of the green, which is the formal slum boundaries. I'm not too sure how this data was collected, but I would assume it's based on field surveys. Field surveys are difficult, they're costly, they're time-consuming. You would have variability in how that data is collected. But with this high resolution satellite imagery, and even with the quality data that my friends in the Ministry of Lands are recording, that 10 centimeter aerial imagery, this could be done on quite a consistent basis at a relatively low cost. I mentioned already as well that data in general, in comparison, I think, to where I would come from, is in Ireland or other countries where you would have more developed countries. There's huge data over there. The quality of the data is excellent. It's maintained in a very standardized way. The systems are there. That you have the private sector also collecting data. There's a lot more people connected to the grid, to every grid for for the internet. People are accessing the internet. People are have formal bank accounts. They have formal address systems. Here in Uganda, that's different. People don't have formal address systems. I know the cases here are putting it in place now, but up country, that's not there. Vast majority, I think only 15%. 15% only have access to formal bank accounts. A far greater number have access to mobile money. People, I think we're a little over 80%, almost 85% work in the informal economy. They don't pay taxes, they don't work for formal employers. Access to data is hard. And that's where I think that our field really comes into play and really has the greatest value. We can take these data sources from a variety of sectors. We can pull in the big data, we can take the satellite imagery, we can go into the UBOS archives and take what they have on their CSV, so we're trying to pull it out of some PDFs. And we can process it and we can ask intelligent, bring it into a GIS or some other tool like that and ask intelligent questions from it. And get that information that will influence, that will get that evidence that will enable informed decision making as Uganda grows. I think by 2040, I don't think we, or by 2020, I think we probably won't reach that middle income status. But I think if the don't quote me on that in the paper. But the tools are available for us to develop Uganda in a more organized, more efficient, more cost-effective manner. And geomatics is one of the main tools to do that. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Bernard. Does anybody have a question for Bernard?
You can't just tell me I'm great if you want.
Thank you, Bernard, for a great presentation. I was actually looking forward to it. My question really, because I think I come more from the research background, how are there any privacy issues to be considered, and how anonymous is this information? To what extent can we retrieve that information for research purposes, of course, to inform planning? Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is where GIS becomes exciting. I would like to know how I can access this information for research purpose, or for personal use. Say, if I want to build my house in a less populated place, I go as an individual somewhere and access the information and say, I want to go this side.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Out of curiosity, you talked about permeability. How did you determine it? And secondly, I think many people agree that in the field of GIS, you're a knowledgeable person. Do you plan on certain avenues of sharing such knowledge with the locals to increase their capacity in handling data?
Thank you, Bernard. That was really good. But who owns the data that you capture?
for that very beautiful presentation. Can I ask, how far has that study gone in relation to the entire country? Secondly, I will just re-echo what the engineer said. Who has the patent for the information that you have? Thank you.
Thank you, Dan Wright. I'm Kamawahab. My question is, are there positions, even if it's on volunteering basis?
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah, for the privacy issues, this will probably answer one of the later questions as well. A lot of the data that we use, we don't own. So we take data from maybe the telecoms or partners or UBOS, and we analyze that to bring out new information. Other data we generate ourselves. Like for the building outlines, we generated that from satellite imagery. So that would explain a little bit. For the privacy, I don't see it as a huge concern privacy-wise. For the mobile phone tracking, you do have to be incredibly sensitive there, and it's the telecom's responsibility. Primary responsibility to manage the privacy of their individual customers. The data that is used for this analysis is aggregated. They don't get the individual location of an individual user. They don't know that somebody is working here and they're living in Boga. They would have the data that the telecoms would share for this analysis is there is 550 people who live in Boga and who are traveling on a almost daily basis to around Makerere. So we can assume that they would have that aggregated data. So I don't see it as I don't see a privacy issue there. For the rest of the data, since a lot of it does pre-exist, or we use various public sources. The same. I don't think we would be doing anything more extreme. We're just analysing what exists in the public sector already. How to access it? We are a private company, so we recoup our costs. We are one of those evil profit generating bodies. But I think that's just the way we work as well. It's in order to do some of these exciting things that I think that you see, we need to be able to cover our costs in order to sponsor the hackathon or continue to do more interesting things in the future. So, but we can always have a discussion and see if there is something to be worked out. For the personal use as well. We generally don't work with individuals. We work with larger companies or organizations. For the impermeability, I'll have to check with my colleague on the specs as to how they did actually generate what was classified as impervious. So for who owns the data, for sharing knowledge, we do want to help grow the community of geomatic specialists in the country. Initially, when we've been here for about 4.5 years now, I think we struggled to try and tap into that sector and find local skills, and now So we're really pleased with Makerere and the quality of people that they're producing. There's Lydia, I see Lydia hiding up there in the back, and then she's been working with us for a fair while now, and then Judith and Florence are interning, and yeah, we are growing as well. So I would think that we would be tapping more into the skills locally available. So that would be one way we would try to share knowledge. We also, one of our biggest projects now is with the UNHCR, the UN Agency for Refugees. 1 million refugees that entered Uganda from South Sudan. We're working with them to understand how those refugees are moving in, where are they coming from, where they're going to, what sort of services are available when they get there, what sort of impact they're having on the environment, how many trees are they chopping down. So we're working closely with UNHCR on that, and we wanted to understand. We wanted to tap into the innovation in the university and see what some of the students could come up with. So we released some of the data from UNHCR and are sponsoring a hackathon to produce a map poster that will help inform that refugee response. I think we're going to extend the deadline somewhat in order to get more feedback. I think because we want to pull in UNHCR somewhat so they can kind of see what we're doing and comment on how practical this type of thing actually is. I think one of the most important things about GIS and remote sensing and that is what sort of practical use that it has, and this would be one of those practical cases that I would think students would learn a lot from. For scaling this project around the country, we have been looking at that. We're probably going to do it for Amber and Hulu, and then we are looking at we are developing algorithms to be able to scale this. For all those buildings, we did those manually, and now we're looking at, which was an incredibly boring job. But now we're looking at using algorithms to auto-delineate those buildings, and then it'll be much more scalable. Do we have any positions? Not at the moment. We just recruited a project manager. But we are, keep an eye on the papers, I think, and just follow us on our blog. And if you are doing anything, any interesting projects, maybe let us know, because we're always interested to understand what's happening in the GIS sphere.